Hello, dear listeners. You're welcome once again to the platform. Previously, we started a poem, The Good Morrow, written by John Donne. And in the previous lesson as well, we looked at the background of the poet and also of the poem. Now we want to look at the foregrounding notes on the poem. So let's see what they look like. Here we have features or structure of the poem, form of the poem, setting of the poem, and the subject matter of the poem. So starting with the structure of features, John Donne's The Good Morrow is a poem of 21 lines, broken into 3 stanzas of 7 lines each. They have 7 lines each, and this is broken into 3 stanzas. The whole 21 lines clearly show an accurately worked out rhythmic cadence of iambic pentameter. When we say iambic pentameter, it means a poem or a poetry line that's composed of 5 stressed and 5 unstressed syllables. That is iambic pentameter. So in this regard, each of the 3 7-line stanzas can be called a royal rhyme. That is, a 7-line poem or a septet manifesting with a rhythmic cadence of iambic pentameters. So, feature-wise or structure-wise, John Donne's The Good Morrow is a poem of 3 grand rhyme royals. I hope this is clear. Now let's go to the form of the poem. Since John Donne authored The Good Morrow, it is characteristically a metaphysical poem. I've told you the meaning of metaphysical in the recent video. So its metaphysical poem hallmarks are clearly set out. Metaphysical ingredients like ratiocinations or truthful arguments are underscored in the poem titled The Good Morrow. As pretty small as the poem's lines are, real arguments of truism from a specific platform are not far-fetched in the poem. For instance, the first royal rhyme, that is lines 1 to 7, is the platform. The platform is for a couple to regard how they come into marriage solemnization as a dream or a yesterday, whereas in John Donne's view, what follows the dream world of yesterday must be a good morrow, that is a happy life. So in other words, coming into marriage is not all that matters, but how it works out successfully as a good morrow or a happy married life. So this, looking at it in respect of sociological appreciation, the first rhyme royal can be taken as platform regarding the bearing of the ruled, that is the people that are governed, to the rulers, those that are governing them in the society, as a building, or let me say a binding contract, which is mutually inclusive between the rulers and the citizens. In other words as well, the rulers need not see themselves as the owners of the society or owners of the power with which they rule. They are only holding it in a trust generated from the people, that is the governed, the citizens in the country. By that, the rulers should ever strive to look after the thorough welfare of the people, as the people themselves maintain all facets of patriotism that make easy governance a good possibility. And of course, under the current Ratiocinations or truthful arguments are carefully set out with some compulsory contrast in eliciting the message in the poem. And that is that about the form of the poem. Now to the setting of the poem. The Good Morrow is geographically set in England, specifically around the 16th and 17th centuries. The multifaceted political, social, and economic events of this period had a profound and strong influence on English poetry, especially on the themes and poetic styles adopted by different poets of that time. During this period, England was at the apogee of its greatness as an economic and military powerhouse. Our success in different spheres of endeavor stimulated a creative spark throughout the country, especially from the onset of the Elizabethan period, when the likes of William Shakespeare, Edmund Spenser, Christopher Marlowe, Sir Walter Raleigh, and Philip Sidney flourished as a result of the benevolence of rich aristocratic patrons. Their most dominant theme of the age was usually the theme of love, most especially unreciprocated or unrequited love. The most popular poetic form at the time was the sonnet, and the poet's favorite figure of speech was the metaphor, which John Donne profusely used in the metaphysical context of his poems. So that is the setting of the poem, being set around 16th to 17th century during the time of Queen Elizabeth I. And next is the subject matter of the poem. As per subject matter, some of the ideas embedded within the poem, including being alive and happy, love, pleasure, desires, astronomy, geography, and pseudoscience, religion, immortality, death, and exploration of new places. However, the main thematic preoccupation of the poem is love. It is love, and not only that, the success of marital life, which the poet regards as good morrow. The poem's poetic persona, who is continually comparing his present to his past, talks to his lover after a blissful night spent together, freed from the commotion that was an integral part of the world around them. His entire life before that moment is weighed in the balance and found wanting when compared to the joy that envelopes his whole being while he is with his loved one. For the poetic persona, his past, without his lover beside him, were lost or unproductive years. It is in seizing the moment and becoming united physically, emotionally, and spiritually with his loved or his beloved that translates the poetic persona into a state of immeasurable and unquantifiable happiness and fulfillment, where no other thing matters. The poem compellingly foregrounds this idea while still incorporating other concepts such as the power of true love, the unity of body, soul, and spirit, sexuality, as well as the exploration and discovery of different parts of the world. So that is the subject matter of the poem. The backbone of the poem is about love. Two people getting married together, and what is it? The success of their marital life, which the poet referred to as good, moral, or happy married life. But when you look at it on the ground or the sphere of sociological aspects, it has to do with the joining together or the cooperation between the rulers and the ruled to bring about a peaceful coexistence. So that is that about today's lesson. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you have done so, help to distribute or to copy the link, paste it on social media here and there, and let people know about the platform. Then I'll be very, very happy and motivated to do more. I say a very big thanks to you, and always remain safe.